mean, I've been speaking at a number of family office conferences lately, just explaining that there are cycles to crypto, just as there are cycles to the stock market and real estate. Because there's this feeling of some people that, oh, some people made money in Bitcoin, some lost. It's like throwing darts against the dartboard. There's no rhyme or reason to it, and that's just not true. There are cycles. The cycles are actually, I would argue, as definitive and predictable and trackable as they are in real estate and the stock market. Real estate and the stock market historically are 10-year cycles. You see big crashes like 1929, 89, 99, 2009. Sometimes they last a little bit longer when they print more money, similar with real estate cycles. Crypto is based on a 4-year cycle. That 4-year cycle is directly related to the halving of Bitcoin. As long as Bitcoin is the core asset of the crypto market, this will continue. And Bitcoin, algorithmically, every 4 years, the supply of new tokens gets cut in half. Imagine if OPEC one day said, we're going to cut the supply of new oil in half. The price of oil would skyrocket. We just recently did 4%, and it went up quite a bit. So basically, of the 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist between now and the year 2140, 10 million of them were mined in the first 4 years, 2009 to 2012. Basing price of anybody who bought it was under $1. Then all of a sudden it went from 50 Bitcoin every 10 minutes to 25. That was called the halving. The first halving was $12. A year later, it was $1,200. And then it crashed 85%. Yet, if you held on to your $1,200 Bitcoin instead of crying, it was worth $19,000 4 years after that. So each cycle, the new highs get higher, but at a lower rate. It was 100x, 85% crash. Then 30x, then 80% crash. This last time it was about 8x. It would have been perfect math if it was 10x, but hiking the Fed rates, the war, that price slowed it down a little bit, but it didn't slow it down to like 10% growth. It was still 10x, or rather 8x. And then we had about a 70% drop. So I refer to the cycles, the 4 years, as the 4 seasons of Bitcoin. Bitcoin spring is the year of the halving. That's when the seed of the halving is planted. And that's when all the miners have to start recalculating their economics because they're mining half as much. So this next one, instead of 50 or 25 or 12 and a half or 6.25, we're going to drop to 3.125 every 10 minutes. That's less than a tenth of what it was in 2012. So the market has to, with the demand for Bitcoin going up linear, the market has to adjust to that. Unlike oil, you don't just shut off rigs. You're still leaving all your Bitcoin miners on. You wait for the algorithms to adjust. Takes about a year for the price to catch up. Every single cycle, the all-time high has been the year after the halving. I call that Bitcoin summer. That's when things grow like crazy. But that's when the retail also jumps in and FOMOs, and they overpay for things. And when they're overpaying, the professional investors are looking and saying, I just made 50x on my money or 10x, I'm out. And so they start selling. Meanwhile, retail's still buying and mortgaging their homes. And that's when you get Bitcoin fall. And the prices fall for about, 12 months. And then they crash at the bottom of it. The first one crashed in January of 2015. The second crash was January of 2019. I thought this time it would elegantly be January of 2023. FTX sped it up a few weeks. It was the end of November. And so that's the end of Bitcoin fall. You then take about a whole year to basically gain faith that it's ever going to come back. Happens every 4 years. Bitcoin was dead in 2015. It was dead in 2019. And people think it's dead now in 2023. It'll be flat most of the year. Then people are like, oh, there's a halving ahead in 2020 to 24. And that's when all of a sudden the price starts picking up about 6 months before the halving. And at the halving, when you look at it in the mirror, it's usually the right price of Bitcoin. Not too high, not too low. I call it the Goldilocks price. So it's correct to be $12 in 2012. It was correct to be $670 in 2016. It was correct to be $8,700 in 2020. My estimate is going to be around 40 grand next April. And I believe then that the summer, it won't be 100x anymore. We're not going to go 40 grand, 4 million. It's not going to be 30x. It's not going to be 8x. But I think most people will be happy with 3x, which would take us over 100,000 to the promised land. In general, I believe it's going to follow something close to that pattern. We are at the bottom right now, just coming out of the bottom. As long as people continue to use Bitcoin and it continues to grow in users, which it's been doing, we're about 425 million users. When I first got into the market in early 2013, we weren't even at 1 million users. It's been growing pretty fast.